But if you're talking about, if you're talking about 30%, kind of take cost 30% of the production costs out, that's not small. That's step change. That's to pick up on your analogy, that's a real fork in the road.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the new automakers, and especially Tesla, announced it last year in their Investors Day on their new way of looking at manufacturing and so on. So we have been working on the digital twin of these vehicles, a legacy OEM and Tesla, which showed what they're doing, and we can see the evolution from, say, the S to the X to the 3 to the Y, and we can see the changes.
That was a short clip from an employee of Caresoft Global. They're a multinational version of Sandy Munro's company, Munro & Associates, although their business model is a bit different. Caresoft has been tearing down Tesla and BYD vehicles since 2017, and the data obtained from their research is then used to train OEMs on how to switch to their methods, the ones Tesla are using, in order to stay competitive. Today we're going to show you some of the highlights from the interview, as well as data from Caresoft showing how Tesla has managed to drop the cost of a vehicle by 30% using a special unboxed process, a method that is predicted to be used in making Tesla's $25,000 EV. Today we're going to unravel this groundbreaking development from Tesla's innovative assembly line. This advancement's not just a leap in automotive technology, but a game changer for cost efficiency, potentially slashing production costs by over 30%. So buckle up as we embark on this journey of discovery, understanding how Tesla is revolutionizing car manufacturing yet again.
We have, in the last, when we came in with this technology and just data, and there's a lot of data providers in the market. But what we really focused on in the last 5 years is to help OEMs and tier one suppliers reduce cost by using this data. So a lot more focus on results. But now, in the last 2 years, 1.5, 2 years, we've also started seeing the trend of what automakers are doing, like what Tesla is doing or what China is doing. And so if you're driving from New York to Cleveland, and then you drive to Detroit, and then you go to Chicago, you know pretty much that either you're going to Minnesota, you're going to Iowa, or you're going to Kansas City. For a fact, more than likely, you're not going to go to Miami or Boston. Okay, so now we have got into the more, and one of the things we'll talk about later today is what we think they're going to do in the future, and how they're going to take out on the 30% of in manufacturing investment out or cost out and so on. So are we going to be right in what we predict? Like one of the things we'll talk about, we've been working on it for over maybe nearly 2 years, and we have got a precise realization of what fairly accurate realization of where the industry is heading. And are we going to be correct? Absolutely not. But directionally, we know where they're heading.
But if you're talking about, if you're talking about 30%, kind of take cost 30% of the production costs out, that's not small. That's step change. That's to pick up on your analogy, that's a real fork in the road.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the new automakers, and especially Tesla, announced it last year in their Investors Day on their new way of looking at manufacturing and so on. So we have been working on the digital twin of these vehicles, a legacy OEM and Tesla, which showed what they're doing, and we can see the evolution from, say, the S to the X to the 3 to the Y, and we can see the changes. So, for example, after we see a huge steps change after the Model 3. The Model 3, Tesla talks about, or Elon Musk talks about production hell. And I think there was in the Tesla Y, you can see a great improvement in 2020, where they went to modular build and gigacastings to simplify parts and so on and so forth. Then you go to 2021, the two-piece gigacasting becomes a single-piece gigacasting.
And this is in the rear.
In the rear.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2022, or latter part, you see the front gigacasting, the rear gigacasting, and no floor. So when you look at that path and then you see what they announced, it's very clear they're going more. It appears to us, at least to us, that we may be right, we may be wrong, but we that they're going to unbox the vehicle. So we have now full data. We have built an entire car, which is what we think the new Tesla of the future is going to be, which is totally unboxed. We built the whole digital twin for it. Last week, it met all US crash requirements. So we have a very, very good idea of what the new Tesla is going to be like.
Tesla has recently announced a new car-making process that will reduce costs by 30%. The process, called Unboxed, is a radical departure from the traditional way of assembling cars, which involves stamping, welding, painting, and final assembly. This unboxed process will use single-piece castings, modular components, and parallel assembly lines to simplify production and increase efficiency. Tesla's unboxed process is a revolutionary approach to electric vehicle manufacturing that promises to simplify production, cut costs, and reduce factory sizes. It's also based on the principles of modularity, flexibility, collaboration, sustainability, and data-driven optimization. Tesla plans to implement this process with its next-generation platform, which will enable the company to produce a lower-priced vehicle for a larger market. So what is Tesla's unboxing process all about, and why is this 30% decline in cost a big deal? Let's find out.
We got to talk about Gen AI in the car. That's one of the big headlines you've taken away here from CES. What does that mean in terms of the user experience?
Yes. You know, Gen AI is going to develop on the devices or the edge different than it develops on the cloud, and the two are going to work together. So think about you go into your car, and your car is going to become personalized to you. You have a couple things that Gen AI will bring to you as a driver of the car. First of all, you now have the opportunity to have conversations with your car with real context. Think about large language models like ChatGPT. When you're behind the wheel, that's the perfect interface for you to be behind the wheel. And you're going to talk to your car about where you need to go. The car is going to reminding of something. The car is going to be your digital assistant with you all the time. But the other things that you're going to see happening in the car, as the car become a hub for services, the car is going to learn about you or know what you do, where you need to go. Like a simple example, the car will know that you need, in your calendar, you have certain appointments, or maybe you made a call and you need to pick up groceries. It will tell you plan ahead for you. If you normally call somebody when you get to your car, the car is going to ask you, do you want to call that person right now, as it do every day, and things like that. But the reality is, we don't know yet. There's so much excitement, so many developers bringing new applications, and the car is going to be the next computing platform, like your phone, like your PC. We're going to see a lot of use cases.
There are a few interesting things about the Tesla Unboxed process, and these key features are going to be the major selling point for Tesla in the future. First up is modularity. Tesla breaks down the vehicle into sub-assemblies that can then be easily reconfigured and adapted to changes in design or demand. And then this process allows for greater flexibility in production and reduces waste and material usage. There's also flexibility. Tesla uses modular production units that can then be moved and rearranged across different modules, enabling the automaker to swiftly respond to market shifts, implement design changes, and optimize production for different models without significant downtime. Likewise, this process will drive more collaboration and sustainability in Tesla's business. Hey guys, welcome back to Tesla Tomorrow. In terms of collaboration, Tesla employs collaborative robots, or cobots, that work alongside human operators to enhance efficiency and safety. And these cobots can then be easily reprogrammed and redeployed across different modules, contributing to the agility of the manufacturing process. Similarly, Tesla aligns the Unboxed process with its commitment to sustainability. By minimizing waste and optimizing resource utilization, Tesla reduces its environmental footprint. And the use of advanced robotics ensures that energy consumption is optimized, contributing to a more sustainable manufacturing ecosystem. So, what really is the big deal about this box process, and why is everyone talking about it? Let's find out. But before we do, if you like this type of content, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to keep up to date on everything going on with Tesla. According to Tesla's estimates, the company's Unboxed process is expected to drop the cost of production by 30%. And what this means is that Tesla vehicles will be more affordable and accessible to a wider range of customers. Tesla's unboxed process is set to be implemented in late 2024 at its new plant in Mexico, and will then be used to produce its next generation vehicle, which will be priced at $25,000. Now, if you don't know what the big deal is, well, this is the moment you need to pay attention to.
It seems like what you're talking about is that traditionally, you'd have a body in white would be built up, and it would be a box. It would be a car, and then it would go into paint, and then it would go into final assembly. But that box would go through those processes. Isn't what you're talking about that the box doesn't get built until way later in the process, and it doesn't go through paint? Talk about that.
Sure. So we call this the game model, which is the global automotive modular evolution that's happening. So going back to first principles, and when we look at, let me give you an example of how we think, the leaders think, and here in this case, the leader is undoubtedly Tesla. So when they came out of the vehicle with no floor, what the question I think they asked was, hey, why do we have a floor? And why do we have another piece of metal on the top of the battery and two pieces of metal with some air in between? Why can't we replace it at one? So they asked these fundamental questions. So I think in the game model or unbox build, the box comes from when you had a horse-drawn carriage. There was a box that went behind the horse. And the first cars was you remove the horse and you put an engine. So, and then later to style, you covered the engine, and then that's how the body in white kind of evolved. This has not been challenged for 100 years. Okay, the model of assembly line and so on, that's the most efficient thing, including Toyota coming to see Henry Ford's assembly line in Dearborn and so on. I think maybe Elon or maybe some of his key leaders challenge and say, okay, we have this box go on, like you said. Okay, we build it in the body shop with robots. Then we put it on the paint shop. Then we put it in the assembly line. And in the assembly line, there's a term that is being used often by Tesla, which is called operator density. So essentially, to assemble anything around the vehicle, you have to go around the vehicle. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens if you could split the vehicle? You can see it clearly. You can split the vehicle into a front module, a rear module, a battery module, and put the two sides together and assemble these each individual components separately. Then it's more efficient because around this box, when you send the box through the paint shop, for example, 80% of that box is air.
One of the main advantages of the unboxed process is that it's going to eliminate the need for body in white, which is a metal frame of a car that's usually made for hundreds of parts. Tesla will use giant die-cast machines to produce the body in white in 3 large pieces, thereby reducing the number of parts, robots, and factory space required. This will also improve the structural integrity of the car, as well as the safety and aerodynamics and weight. Another benefit from the unboxed process is that it's going to enable Tesla to use modular components that can easily be swapped out and upgraded. Tesla will use a single powertrain module that will contain the battery, motor, and electronics. The result being that Tesla will be able to standardize and simplify the design of its vehicles, as well as offer more options and customization for its customers. Tesla will then be able to update and improve its components faster and cheaper, and recycle and reuse them more easily. A third advantage of the unboxed process is that it's going to allow Tesla to use parallel assembly lines that will run simultaneously and independently, and also increase the production capacity and flexibility of Tesla and reduce downtime and errors. Tesla will also be able to produce different models and variants of its vehicles on the same line, as well as to adjust the output according to the demand and supply. And it will also be able to scale up and down production more quickly and efficiently and expand to new markets and locations. As we mentioned earlier, the Tesla unboxed process is expected to be implemented in late 2024 at the new plant in Mexico, which will produce the next generation of Tesla vehicles, and they'll be significantly simpler and more affordable than the current ones, and compete on the best-selling cars list of the world with the likes of Toyota with the Corolla.
They're electric cars. They drive, I guess they have about 30 miles a day, 30 or 40 miles a day, and they have 3 million of them that are collecting data. 100 million miles a day they're getting for data, and then they're also getting compute that they're going to have more compute than anyone in the world in 18 months.
So
to train it.
have you been surprised, and this is true of the other EV makers, a lot of EV makers have put up big goals in terms of sales, and then they've scaled those goals back, saying there's just not the customer demand. Do you think that is the responsibility or a function of the products that these other automakers are putting out? Or do you think that there actually isn't the demand for EVs writ large that maybe was anticipated or expected?
There's 1.5 billion cars that have to get replaced. They do about 80 million cars a year, and a small percentage of those, 10%, are electric right now. Ultimately, it's going to be all electric. But the reason there's not more demand is the cars that are out there are not very attractive by the dealers, by the car companies, and they're expensive, number two. And then in addition to that, the dealers who sell them, they don't want to sell them because there's nothing to service. The dealers make all their money on servicing. So dealers sell them, they're not selling them.
Talked about trying to bring prices down, and that's something that Elon Musk has talked a lot about. At the same time that he's going to try to bring prices down, you have the potential for Tesla to become a target of the UAW, which of course just made this new deal with the other big automakers at meaningfully higher prices in terms of what those employees are going to be getting. What do you think about that?
I think Tesla's employees are the highest paid workers in the world as far as the automobile companies go, because they own stock.
As a function of the stock.
And that stock option would not be present in all instances if it were a unionized company. When the unions were in control of Fremont, as soon as they had trouble, they ran from it. Tesla took over that plant in Fremont after the unions had left, after the company had gone bankrupt.
When examining the financial impact of Tesla's unboxed approach, two critical errors and factors are standing out. And these are capital investment and production time. Shifting to modular builds allows Tesla to construct smaller and more efficient factories, and it lessens the need for extensive welding robots thanks to gigacasting. And the reduction in the paint shop size due to the unboxing process is going to lead to a significant 30% reduction in capital investment. This is a paradigm shift in the industry where billions are typically poured into plant infrastructure. Moreover, the change also brings a drastic cut in process time. That is, the hours spent in assembling a vehicle. This efficiency doesn't stem merely from a modular approach, but also from a potential integration of advanced automotive technologies, and automation technologies too, such as with the use of the Optimus robots, which will further reduce manpower needed, and thereby cut labor costs effectively. To put these savings into perspective, Caresoft, a company dissecting Tesla's manufacturing methods, provides compelling data from their extensive research, and the analysis shows that by moving from a traditional assembly line to Tesla's innovative unboxed method could lead to a 30% reduction in process time. But what do these changes mean in real numbers? Let's break it down. Understanding the financial impact of Tesla's unboxed process requires a deep dive into the numbers. Based on Caresoft's analysis, Tesla's shift to a modular build means projected savings of around $11 billion in plant investments. This figure is derived from analyzing the equipment costs and building permits for Tesla's facilities, like the ones in Austin. For a clearer perspective, consider Tesla's ambitious goal of producing 20 million vehicles by 2030. With an estimated 36 plants required to meet this target, the cost savings become even more significant. A 30% reduction in investment per plant multiplied by the number of plants represents a big financial saving and huge savings with strategic planning.
So we're seeing this headline put a bit of pressure on shares this morning. We're also getting some news out that Tesla is once again cutting prices in China on two of its models, I believe. Obviously, the pressure here being some concerns about margins and what that could look like in the near term.
Yeah, we saw this happen at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. The price wars are back in China in full effect here. So the Model 3 sedan getting cut by 5.9% to around $34,000 or 246,000 yuan. The Model Y SUV by 2.8% to around 260,000 yuan or so thereabouts. So yeah, these are not small price cuts. They're actually pretty significant, as this sort of market in China is just super competitive. And new vehicles from NIO, from BYD just announced recently at the higher end too, where Tesla operates. So not just the cheap EVs, the more expensive ones. And this, as the industry is going to actually potentially contract next year. The CPAC, which tracks car sales in China, says it might contract by 11% next year in terms of smaller group, but not as much growth as last year. So there is more competition and possibly fewer things to buy, or fewer customers to buy these products.
One thing that we find very interesting is that Tesla is always capitalizing on competitive advantage. In this case, Tesla is working on unboxed processors, and it is still cutting prices on some of its models. In 2022, Tesla offered to cut prices in the United States last year to juice up demand, and in 2023, again, it slashed prices in China for the second time as competition there continued to mount. While this may seem like a drastic move, it's important to look at the bright side of things. These price cuts may indicate a significant change in Tesla's long-term strategy, with the company looking to potentially protect its market share and remain a leader in the EV market. The price cut could also allow Tesla to reach a larger audience and increase brand recognition, becoming more mainstream. Tesla has already made considerable progress in this direction, and the price reductions could be a continuation of the trend. No doubt the price cuts might result in short-term lower profits, but Tesla is known for its focus on the growth and innovation of its brand. Therefore, the price reductions here could be calculated as a move to increase market share, reach a wider range of customers, and eventually grow profits in the long run. The Tesla Unbox process is another step in the right direction, and it will not only reduce the cost of its vehicles by 30%, but also increase Tesla's market share and improve the company's environmental impact and energy consumption. Overall, the Tesla Unbox process will revolutionize the auto industry and accelerate transitions to sustainable mobility. What do you think about Tesla's unboxing process? And do you expect more cost decline in the future? Let us know down below, and for more exciting updates on Tesla, go ahead and click on this next video on your screen. See you there.